Hi, welcome to my second intermediate milestone presentation. My name is Chris Adams. Excuse me. A little bit about me. As long as things go according to plan, I plan on graduating at the end of this semester, so this is one of my last two classes, so that makes me pretty excited. I work for a community college here in Utah called Snow College as a programmer for the financial aid department, and that's kind of where I got the idea for my project. Financial aid is certainly education in a way, for a lot of people, required for education to go forth. I thought that might be a good way to help with the help meet the ideas of my project and be able to help out our financial aid department as well. Some of the goals for my project were to shorten wait times at the financial aid windows, to let students kind of help serve themselves, and also to be able to reach parts of campus that we traditionally don't reach. For those students that normally don't come to the windows, or don't know quite what they, or don't complete what they have, or are intimidated by what's going on. There's a lot of unclaimed funds that aren't dispersed with federal money, and so trying to capture some of these students that traditionally don't come was important to us. What we came up with in this project was a dynamically updated financial aid and scholarship checklist. This would be something that would list all the requirements that a student would have. It would be dynamically updated, so things will change as students complete requirements. If there's any new requirements the student will need to complete, that gets added to this list, so the student can come back here and check this list and make sure things are all have green check marks. As long as they have green check marks, and that's when their money can disperse. What I thought I'd do is, instead of actually walking you through a presentation, I thought I'd take you through some pictures, some screenshots, and show you where I was, kind of how I've progressed, and where I'm at the moment. This is my first wireframe that I created. This project, this checklist, was meant to reside in a software product called Banner. It is a LMS/SMS, a learning management system or student information system program that helps with registration, helps with admittance, helps with financial aid, as well as some other places on campus, including HR and a bunch of other places like that. The one we're concerned about is financial aid, of course. You might recognize the way this looks here in a minute. Georgia Tech uses Banner as well, although they don't use all the financial aid section. That's a little bit different. They handle theirs a little bit different, which is fine. As you can see, this has requirement headings. It has requirements. They'll have different icons depending on where these requirements are. It'll have links to documents and web pages and help text. It'll have some help text. This is the original idea here. Legend at the top, some instructional text, some things like that. Let's go on to show you what I turned in for my first intermediate milestone. The difference between what I showed you in my wireframe is not all these requirements have links yet. At this point, when I turned this in, this was just kind of mock data. I had stuck the requirements in here, the ones that we wanted. In fact, as you can see, this page kind of goes down quite a ways. We had, if I remember right, 126 different requirements that were listed on this page. Not that this particular student had that many, but we wanted to kind of get a look of what each requirement would look like, see what would need for spacing, things like that. And be able to get our icons in and be able to get the basic layout type thing. So let's actually take you to where we are today. This is, at this point, it's version 2.1 of my checklist. As you can see, we've got some information text up here. We've got our little legend that tells kids where they are. As you can see, this requirement is incomplete. These ones down here are not required at the moment. This is a loan requirement. And loan requirements aren't really applicable until a student is actually offered and accepts a loan. Once a student accepts a loan, then these are requirements that the student has to complete before that loan fund will disperse. In fact, that grayed out text, how that looks, that styling, actually came out of our alpha testing. At the moment, that's where I'm at in my project. I've got most of my features that I want for my checklist added. There's a couple more that I'll still need to add, but this is something that came out. This something that was labeled as not applicable at this time. Students were still not quite grasping that, so in a way to help with that, anything that was labeled as not applicable, we changed the styling of that to look disabled. These links over here no longer link to places that students would need to go to fulfill that requirement. As you can see, some of these others. This form right here links to our documentation page. The FAFSA application will link to the federal FAFSA application site. So the other differences from my wireframe at the moment, we did not have this information here, text here at the moment. These are just pop-up information texts that show you some information for each particular category. It does still show up for things that are disabled, just so kids can actually see what they would need to do for the requirement, where they'd need to go. A lot of these links actually link to the places, for instance, this federal loan entrance counseling will link to the studentloans.gov website, so you can actually do entrance loan counseling. It was a little bit different than my wireframe because my wireframe actually had those information texts in the category section instead of the requirement section. That was another thing we found in our alpha testing that seemed to help kids out a little bit more. One other thing that we're still going to add is a little message up here at the top. It was a request from the financial aid department. There is a place inside Banner that can send financial aid messages, almost like email messages, to a student, and we decided to it's kind of a hard to find spot in Banner, so we decided to put a link to it right here that says something just like a mailbox. It says you've got 4 unread messages, things like that. And a couple things like that is where I'm still needing to go with this, but we're getting pretty close. We're still working on what the wording still needs to be here, and that's kind of been a slow process to go through with the financial aid department, make sure the wording for each requirement is right, where these link to is where we want them to link to, the wording for this information text. That's, as I said, that's kind of been a slow process. It's hard to find time away from financial aid windows to take some time to be able to go through this, even though it will help. What we're doing at this point is next week we'll be opening this up for beta testing. We'll be able to take this and deliver it to a couple students and a bigger population of students to see how it works for them, see if it works how we think it will work, see if it answers their questions, see if it's intuitive, some things like that. One thing I do want to mention here is this whole project was written in PL/SQL. All Banner data is kept in a PL/SQL database. The Banner pages here, these web pages, this is inside of a browser, is written in PL/SQL functions. So in order to make any of this, we had to use their APIs. Basically the APIs make HTML tags. Let's see, let's just pull that up here real quick. Okay, these are some of the HTML functions. Most of them just make HTML tags, like this one actually opens a HTML table. Banner does their layout by table, which is not the way I would do it, but that's the way the APIs do it, so that's the way I did it. As this one opens a table, this one opens a table row, this one opens data for that, like a column in the table. This is how we add an image in that to the page. This is actually the Snow College logo. If we go back to the page, this Snow College logo right there, that's adding that Snow College logo. But each element has one of these here. And it would have been a lot faster to write it in HTML, but I do get a nice added benefit by using these APIs. It helps me protect the database from SQL attacks. anything I enter in here, like text that what goes into this print strong box, any of this text that is right here, anything I send, this particular function will take that back and make sure I don't have any data in there that's trying to insert things into table or find things about our database or anything like that. Make sure, and it's something that Banner manages, and it's not something that I manage, so it's not something that I have to keep track of. I just have to worry about making sure it looks okay, being able to make sure I have the attributes I want, and things like that. So we're moving along. I am on schedule with my proposal. This is about right where I want to be. In fact, I'm a little bit ahead. If we can get banner testing done, then banner beta testing done, about all I'll need to do at that point is be able to move things into production. That will be on the schedule of the financial aid department to make sure that's, when we release it at the right time, make sure it's good and where they actually want it. And then write up my papers and make some presentations. The presentation paper and yeah, there's one more. Anyway, the final assignments for the class, and then I'll be good. This beta testing we plan on doing for about 2 weeks. There are still a couple other things, like I mentioned, that still need to be added, like finish up the wording and this mailbox feature. Decide whether we want information text up here in the column sections. Double check to make sure everything. Well, anyway, any other things that come in. So we're looking good. We're looking on time, and we hope you like this presentation. Thanks. Have a nice day.